my amplified unit. Salute. CM Punk returns to WWE last night for SmackDown in Chicago. Unfortunately for Punk, so did Drew McIntyre. And Drew McIntyre pretty much unquitted last night and pretty much sent CM Punk into an early retirement. If you caught this segment, you know what we're talking about. As the gate slowly rises, Drew Mac is standing over a laid out CM Punk in the parking lot. So well done. Such an epic visual. And that's the Drew McIntyre we need to see going forward. No more tweener. No more slapping high fives with the fans. No more playing the hero just because you're in Scotland. We need that Drew McIntyre if this feud between him and Punk is going to propel to new heights. That is the Drew McIntyre we need to see. We'll talk all about it in this SmackDown 6/21/24 review. Also, the women weren't necessarily booked correctly last night. That's an understatement, right? Not even advertised for the show till about a half an hour to an hour beforehand. But the ladies said, hold our coffee. They flipped off Paul Levesque McMahon. They told Paul Levesque McMahon, you ain't sabotaging our segment. And they turned nothing into something pretty damn cool. We'll talk about their matchup as well. Triple threat match, Money in the Bank qualifier. We're also going to talk LA Knight. Oh, Logan Paul sent LA Knight into next week's SmackDown. When LA Knight wakes up, a whole week has passed. It's a whole nother SmackDown. You're a whole week closer to SummerSlam. Logan Paul. Old school Friday. If you ever saw the movie Friday. You just got knocked the fuck out. Oh, man, there's a lot to talk about. And we're going to discuss, speaking of SummerSlam, we're going to talk the SmackDown main event for SummerSlam. Now, it's a double main event. We already talked about the Raw main event, the projected main event, Damian Priest versus Gunther, and how that just doesn't feel like a SummerSlam main event. Forget the fact that both are heels, Damian and Gunther. So if you're going to turn Damian face, you got only 6 weeks to do that. And even if you turn Damian a face, is that still going to feel? Will that feel like a SummerSlam-worthy main event? To a lot of us, it just doesn't. But SmackDown's projected main event for SummerSlam might be even worse. We'll tell you what that is and why it just doesn't feel like that's SummerSlam-worthy. So there's so much to go over. The complete and fully amplified 6/21/24 SmackDown review. It's right now. I'm going to grab a big swig of coffee. You guys grab your bevies and let's amplify. Let's go. All right, so we start this show, SmackDown 6/21/24, with, they waste no time, CM Punk. Huge ovation, of course. It is Chicago, so even more amplified. I just feel it would be even more special if they didn't go to Chicago as much as they do. It just feels like every time you turn around, CM Punk is in Chicago. Maybe that's because AEW would go there like it seemed every other week. So when he was with AEW, it just felt like they were always there too. WWE, CM Punk is always in Chicago. But either way, man, you listen to that response, it's still pretty damn special. He has some words for Drew McIntyre, but it's actually Paul Heyman that comes to the ring. He informs Punk that Solo Sikoa is not happy that Punk thinks he runs Chicago, that he's the biggest superstar in Chicago. So Solo Sikoa is not happy. Punk is like, what? You better have more to that statement. Do I care? If Solo Sikoa is happy or not, do I care what Solo Sikoa likes and doesn't like? I'm pretty sure Punk is not going to lose any sleep if Solo's not happy with him. So Heyman tells Punk he should just get out of here. Solo's not happy. Those were his words. In fact, you should just get out of here. Solo's not happy. So Punk completely scoffs at the notion, right? He can't even conceive that this is a real conversation. Punk says, and I quote, "You're afraid I'm going to get jumped by Solo Sikoa in Chicago." This gets like a laugh and a cheer from the crowd. It's like, really, bro? You got like 15,000 people ready to jump the barricade to help out Punk. So then we have I think that's when the store-branded Bloodline came out, right? That's when Solo's like, you will not laugh at me! So the store-branded Bloodline comes out, and they hit the ring. They're about to take out Punk, but it's Cody Rhodes for the save. And Cody didn't come along alone. He had some stinger bats. He throws one to CM Punk. He holds one. You know, the old stinger black bats, man. And of course, the Bloodline have seen enough WCW Nitro back in the day. They're like, nope, we're not going in there. So the faces pretty much stand tall and fend off the heels. But was it more Punk? Was it Cody? Or was it those stinger bats? And then Cody vs. Solo is announced for the main event. And that's strange because we know that that's what's being discussed for the main event for SmackDown for SummerSlam. So it's like, so you know a schmaz is coming up, because when they project a match like that for a big event like SummerSlam, like that's what they're going to go for. That's what they're going with. Unless the fans completely hijack it like they just did with Rock and Roman, and then Cody gets in there somehow. But that's the match they're going to go with. So you knew right from the jump, like there's going to be something from the opening bell in that main event that's not going to allow that match to happen. And I have strong words for Cody versus Solo Sikoa as the main event of SummerSlam, by the way. We'll go over that when we get to the main event of this review. But up front, guys, that's the first segment. I didn't mind this at all. You had a little bit of everything. You had the CM Punk, just the atmosphere. That's what you really are getting, right? You kind of sit back with your beverage and you kind of just enjoy the atmosphere. That crowd with CM Punk. Really good promo cut on Drew McIntyre. Heyman is out there with Punk, you know, to see them back in the ring, having a back and forth. Pretty damn special. So you're just enjoying it all. The Bloodline comes out, the bootleg, the store-branded Bloodline. But to have Cody Rhodes, their top star, out there with Punk fending them off. You got the stinger bats. I didn't mind any of this at all. It's not the most epic of starts to a show, but man, have I seen much, much worse. So from the jump, I'm thinking, okay, not bad at all. Let's keep going. That was the first segment. Speaking of keep going, this is where the first match of the night, it just, no care was put into it. No love was given to the females here. This was a triple threat women's Money in the Bank qualifier as the first match of the night. This was Bianca Belair versus Michin versus Chelsea Green. And I gotta say, these women were done dirty from the jump, booking-wise. So Belair, Michin, Chelsea Green. Why do I say they were done dirty from the jump? Well, let's go over just some of the reasons literally from the jump. Number one, they weren't even advertised until about a half an hour before the show. I was literally doing a live stream just a few hours before SmackDown yesterday. Thank you guys, everyone who caught that live, and to the several thousand that caught it on the replay. Whether you were live or for the replay, appreciate all the love and support, man. That was a fun live stream. We had a couple of them back-to-back in a row. I would like to do that next week, too. To all my subscribers, and especially my channel members. Man, the biggest of salutes. That's a lot of fun. But we were live a few hours before, and I asked you guys, those that were live in the chat, I said, guys, unless I'm missing anything, is there any females advertised for the show? And everybody was like, no, BC, I'm checking for you now. I'm not seeing any. I'm seeing the same thing as you, BC. There was nothing. Guys, there was a bunch of segments, right? The Cody Rhodes, what do they have advertised? Cody Rhodes does something with, I don't know. Cody does something. LA Knight confronts Logan Paul was one of them. CM Punk returns. 2 men's Money in the Bank qualifying matches. So you had about 5 segments planned out. None of them had anything to do with the women. So even if you don't care at all about the women and their wrestling, you still gotta see, like, that's probably not the best way to market, to promote something that you're trying to get people to care about. So from the jump, it was just never promoted, or at least not properly. It was not on any of their promotionals, guys. So if they announced it real quick last week or something like that, or it was hidden on their WWE.com, that's just not the way you do it. It was on none of their promotional work till about a half an hour to an hour before the show. Secondly is Bianca got half of an entrance while Michin and Chelsea Green got jobber entrances. So they were literally at like a backstage segment. Who was it, by the way? It was Cody, Orton, and KO backstage. They were having a, so it's a pretty cool, just to see Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes is pretty cool. So backstage, I'm fine with that backstage segment. But when we cut back to the ring, the ref, I think it was referee Jess Carr, my favorite referee in the industry, by the way. So this is no fault of her. She was waiting for the cue. The second they got back to the ring from the backstage segment, she's just like, ring the bell. And I'm like, whoa, hold on. Who's in the match? Because again, I saw no promotional, no advertisements. I saw Bianca get half an entrance before commercial. Then we came back from commercial and we had the backstage segment. And then we just hit the bell. So as they start fighting, I got to see who's in the match. They're already wrestling. I'm like, who is that? Okay, that's Michin. It's Chelsea Green. Okay. Like, legit. I'm not embellishing at all. No exaggeration. When the bell rang, I didn't know who the 3 participants were. Before we went to break, I just saw Belair making her way to the ring. Jobber entrances. Bianca gets half an entrance because she had to do something with Jade Cargill before the entrance. They had like a little backstage segment, and Jade forgot her line like she was supposed to. I wish you luck, but you don't need it. But she was so late that Bianca was already through the curtain, so she didn't even turn back to hear it. Jade, man, I like Jade so much. You guys know that. Jade Cargill, I just don't know if she's really grasping this wrestling thing, man. And that's one of my favorite. There's something about Jade Cargill I just love. She just is it. But I'm just hoping she has that it factor, because you can train only so much. The other half of being an amazing or just a really good pro wrestler is you just have to naturally have it. I really hope Jade finds it and has it in her and finds it. Because it doesn't feel real. Like the promos, everything just feels like she's trying really hard, but the results are not there. She just has to relax a little bit more. Trust her. It's almost like a confidence issue, maybe. But that was a rough back and forth backstage promo. And then Bianca comes out. So anyway, it's just everything about this. So then I'm like, wait a second. If this is the way they're treating this match, no real promotion to it, jobber entrances, watch this match be about 5 or 6 minutes and watch them pop a commercial in it. Guys, no lie, this is what happened. You ready for this? Let me get a swig of coffee, because this is no BS. So, I want to read this literally verbatim in my notes, because this is how it went down. So, the bell rings, 45 seconds is what they allowed them to wrestle when the bell rang. 45 seconds, and then we went right to a full 3-minute commercial break. So, jobber entrances, immediate ring of the bell, 45 seconds of wrestling, 3-minute commercial break. And when we come back from commercial, they got 2.5 minutes to wrap it up. Full match, 6 minutes. Half of it literally was in commercial break. And trust me, I'm not one of those fans that say every match needs 15, 20 minutes, right? For it to qualify for Meltzy's 10 stars, or you know what I mean? Every match doesn't have to be banger after banger after banger. No, I don't care about any of that, right? There's some short matches that are much more memorable than matches that are 20, 25 minutes. But that's not, no care. There was no, it's almost like they went out of their way to tell the audience that this is absolute nothing filler. Right? Let's just find a way real quick to get Chelsea into this Money in the Bank match. And the reason that's an issue, guys, is because women's wrestling already doesn't get a lot of love, especially in the States. You can just look at the crowd, watch the ratings, how they go down when women's wrestling is on. So it's a vicious cycle, right? The promoters are scared to put the ladies out there because they're scared their ratings are going to drop. But if they don't book them correctly, the fans will never care about it, and it'll just be a vicious cycle. Fans don't care, fans tune out. Until the promoters really give the fans something for the ladies that they're like, I can't miss this. I got to check this out. This is not the booking, though. So when you mix it all together, no promotional, no marketing, we didn't even know about this match. Most of us did not know about this match. And then on top of that, the jobber entrances, and then on top of that, the whole match is 6 minutes, but just over 3 minutes of it was spent in commercial break. All of this just did not add up. And I actually felt bad for them. But here's the kicker. You ready for this? I was going to say it's the sad part, but I guess it's really cool in terms of the ladies and what they were capable of doing. With the time they were given, this match was actually good. It was good. We only saw 3 minutes of it in totality, but it was good. Michin was looking the best she's looked in a very long time. Maybe because she's really involved in some stuff lately. I know most of it's in NXT. She was involved in the ladder match for the Women's North American Championship to crown the first ever Women's North American Champion. And then she had a matchup like the very following Tuesday night, I believe. So she's just kind of been firing on all cylinders anyway. You just haven't seen too much on the main roster. But man, she was just, that's what I mean. When you give these wrestlers a flow and don't just say, hey, you're going to have a couple of weeks, Spotlight's going to be on you, and then we're going to give you catering for 3 weeks. Then you can go home for a couple weeks. Then we'll bring you back for a storyline. Let them develop a flow. Because Michin, that was the best she's looked. There was just no hiccups. There was no hesitation. Full throttle. Man, the confidence was just there in Michin. That's what I knew was in her back in NXT. The main roster Michin, it's like, what is she even doing there? So Michin was damn near flawless last night. And then you had the finish. Bianca hits Michin with the KOD. But Green tosses Belair off subsequently, like simultaneously. So the KOD is hit on Michin, but Chelsea's there to throw Bianca out and cover Michin, right? The work has already been done. The hard work, the labor has been done. She just picked up the scraps, and that's all you need sometimes. 1, 2, 3, Chelsea Green defeats Michin on the back on the work of what Bianca laid down for her. I thought it was actually a well-done finish for the winner. This absolutely fits Chelsea Green. I'm so glad they just didn't do a cheesy distraction, and Chelsea Green wins with a roll-up, because we see too many fruit roll-ups. They don't make sense. Nobody needs to see Chelsea Green beating any of these individuals, Bianca or Michin, via a roll-up. You're just holding them down and they can't get a centimeter off the canvas? Stop. So I'm glad they actually went with that finish. It's a finish we've seen 1,000 times before. That's not original, but it fits Chelsea Green winning this match. And it's not too cheesy at all. It's more than believable, right? Bianca hits it out of nowhere. She gets chucked out of the ring. Right? Tweaks your angle a little bit. Now she's getting back up. The 3 count's already there. Chelsea just capitalized. So, I just thought it was a great ending because of what they needed to do or what they wanted to accomplish. Chelsea, could you imagine? Can you guys imagine right now? Just picture this. Chelsea Green winning Money in the Bank. Chelsea Green holding the briefcase. I think it fits. Now, I don't know if that's too hokey, though. I don't know how you guys feel about it. All right, I'm kind of undecided on, do we put it on somebody who is more of like how WWE looks at her as like a fun filler type character, you know? A step above what like the Iconics, who I absolutely adored, by the way. Too bad their run was short. I felt the Iconics had a very special place in WWE. They didn't need to win 10 tag titles and beat every team. But the Iconics definitely had a good role, I felt. If utilized properly, the Iconics would have been well over. But Chelsea Green is a step above that. I like Chelsea Green. She offers so much to the company and to the product. But is it enough to hold a Money in the Bank? Like, are we believing that Chelsea is holding it and cashing in and becoming champion? Maybe. You know, they have to slowly, I think the way to do this, if you're going to do that, is slowly get away from just being the comedy act, you know what I mean? Or just the filler, or just the fun jobber, right? We're going to have to take Chelsea a little bit more serious as time goes on, so that when she finally does cash in, you know, it just feels more real. Like, yeah, Chelsea's been on a roll, you know? So that's just saying if they were to give Chelsea the briefcase. I've seen Wilder in the past, man. There's a good chance they could put that briefcase on Chelsea Green. She's in the match. Could you imagine that? And then we went into... So first of all, just mad props to the ladies. I mean, that was just so... That's just one of those things where you don't want to hear that when you're in Gorilla, you know? Like, you're only going to have 6 minutes. You're going to be rushed. We immediately, when we cut to the ring, we're going to ring the bell and you just go. There's no time for like, there's no slow pace. There's no time for the sleeper holds. There's none of that. That could go off the rails real quick. And that's just telling your talent, fuck, man. How can we go out there and do anything special? 6 minutes. And you're telling us in 45 seconds we got a commercial break? So nobody's even seeing half the match. That could demoralize them, right? It's like, what are we even doing, bro? But they went out there for the 3 minutes we saw. That was actually fun. No hiccups, no botches, confidence, everybody going full throttle, everybody wanting to do the best with the 3 minutes they had. That was a big FU to Levesque McMahon. Great job by the ladies, man. You give us 3 minutes of TV time, we'll turn it into gold. Next up, Waller and Gargano are arguing backstage. The lot door starts to open up. This is funny too, because if you guys remember, to my subscribers that have been, this was just a week or two ago, wasn't it? Just a week or two ago, maybe on like a SmackDown review, I was telling you guys how Gargano and Ciampa's feud for the tag titles with Waller and Theory, they should do something in the parking lot. Where like the cars are showing up, Waller and Theory are kind of boxed in by Tommaso and Gargano. And I was just talking about how like you could do so much with like the lot and the door opening up. Like, was it Theory who was trying to like get back into the building, but Gargano is closing the big gate? I was just talking about like utilizing all of that. And there's Gargano and Waller like arguing by that same lot door that goes up and down. And sure enough, you hear a knock and all of a sudden the door is slowly rising. I'm like, dude, I just kind of pitched some of this. But the storyline wasn't for Gargano and Waller. They were just arguing. This, as the door slowly rose up, you actually see a dude laid out. Didn't even know who it was at first. As the door kept rising up, you see that's Drew McIntyre. And then you draw your own conclusion. Your eyes go back down. You're like, that's CM Punk. Bloodied, laid out underneath Drew McIntyre as he just stands over. And the visual was epic because those lot doors, the ones that rise right up for the trucks to get in, drop off all the equipment, you have that long tunnelway. And then it's just usually, it's just landscape after the tunnelway because it goes kind of upwards. It's like a ramp style, basically. It's like a ramp. So you have the long tunnel style, and then you have like this just landscape, just like sky. So, and then you see Drew McIntyre, half like 3D, half silhouette, and Punk is laid out. I just thought the visual, the way it was done, so well done. So, I don't know if Levesque McMahon was like helping to produce that. That's what I mean. I'll give credit where it's due, man. If it's bad, it's bad. If it's good, it's good. That was so well done. So whether that was Levesque McMahon or maybe he wasn't even there, it was just production. That's the way whoever set up that whole thing, that was so good. That was so well done. And I just seeing the lot door rise and seeing Gargano there, I'm like, wait, I pitched something with Gargano in that lot door just 2 weeks ago. A week or two ago, something like that. It's kind of funny, man. Kind of funny there, but this was so well done. And then Drew Mac, he picks Punk up and like fireman's carry position, and he carries them, the long one shot that they do on every show. So they carry this long one shot with Drew Mac carrying Punk. He carries them into the fan side of the arena, top of the ramp, drops them off. He just puts them down, lays them out top of the ramp. And he does the kind of the CM Punk thing, he gets down like he's about to do the clobbering time. And he puts something in his pocket too, and I didn't catch that, guys. I was jotting something down in my notes. When I looked up, he had something that he put in his pocket. I don't know if you guys caught that, and if you did, maybe you can let BC know what that... I don't know what he put in his pocket, but put something in there. I thought that was, even though I missed it, I felt that was worth mentioning because it could be something important or something key to the storyline. But either way, then he turns back as if he's going to like step on Punk. And that's when Nick Aldis and a bunch of officials came out. Aldis kind of like pushes Drew a little bit, like get back. Drew pushes, like Aldis got shoved back a good 3 or 4 feet. Aldis was not happy. Drew didn't say anything until Aldis was like yelling at him after the push. Like Aldis was pissed off. And that's when Drew's like, "You don't touch me. You don't touch me. You're going to get worse." I just thought that was like, well, man, I don't mind seeing Nick Aldis and Drew McIntyre in the future. Oh, but guys, this was so well done. If you caught the live stream yesterday, whether live or the replay, we talked in great deal. It was part of the, not the thumbnail, the headline actually, what we were hearing report-wise, and was that Drew McIntyre was in Chicago. So I felt that was important enough to know for my audience. So when I went live, that was a huge story. We talked about how Drew McIntyre, even though he quit on Monday, and a lot of people were like, nah, BC, you know, those reports are probably wrong. They're not going to have him like come back 3 days after quitting, or 4 days, Tuesday, Wednesday, 4 days after quitting. But I was like, listen, maybe not, but I'm telling you what we're hearing, right? The most valid of reports. We're all saying, everybody was saying that Drew is in Chicago. So, I mean, you can draw the conclusion there, man. The quitting thing was never supposed to be long-term. It was just to get him over the Smackdown or really throw CM Punk off the track. And so that's what we talked about in yesterday's stream before SmackDown, and we ended up being 1,000% correct. All the reports ended up being 1,000% correct. So that's why I feel like when something has that type of validity or substance, that's when I feel like we should discuss it, because there's a good chance, you know, that's going to happen. Drew McIntyre was in Chicago, and he did unquitted it. May have just sent Punk into an early retirement, but no, that's going to set up, that just buys Punk a few more weeks. I think WWE is really holding the hope that Drew versus Punk will be at SummerSlam, because something has to offset what looks like a really bad double main event. And we'll talk more about that in a little bit. But pretty huge, man. This was the segment of the night, clearly. This is what got everybody talking. This is where everybody was like, whoa, dude. Are you serious? Punk bloody fireman's carry? Like, Drew McIntyre not happy. And that ended hour one, just for full transparency. So if you're keeping score, hour two up next. That's Melo, Orton, and Tama Tonga, triple threat for the men's Money in the Bank. It's a qualifier. So let me get a swig. We'll talk about how this went down, because I don't mind the person that won it. He needs a big victory, but how it was done, this is what I mean. The finish matters. The finish matters just as, and sometimes even more, than the entire match in its totality. So, Melo defeats Randy Orton and Tama Tonga in a Money in the Bank qualifier. Orton is distracted by Tonga Loa and KO brawling on the outside. And when I say distracted, Randy Orton is just watching them, and he's smiling a little, but he's watching KO and Loa just beat each other up like he's at a theater, right? He's just missing some coffee, some Clearly Canadians, maybe some popcorn, some bonbons. It's a theatrical experience for Randy Orton. He forgets he's in a match. 15 seconds, he's just watching them fight each other. I'm like, dude, what are you doing watching them? And then a moment later, he gets rolled up by Melo. Melo beats Randy Orton via the Farut roll-up. Come on, man! That is simply not realistic. Maybe you can start to sell me on the idea that it's realistic if Randy Orton is battled like it's 25 minutes into the match, 30 minutes. Orton has nothing left to give. He's exhausted, and he just got caught with the roll-up after a distraction. Maybe. But watch, a moment before he's rolled up, this dude's on top of his game. He's actually smiling at KO fighting. He's rocking. And a moment later, he's being held down by Little Melo. Randy Orton rolled up by Melo. Orton, 6'5", 250. Melo, barely 5'10", 210 soaking wet. Those are real stats. That's real. 6'5", 250. Orton is being held down by Melo? Come on. Like I said with the Chelsea finish, just make it realistic. Put some more care and fun into it. Nobody's believing Orton's being held down by Melo, man. Not when Orton was rocking on all cylinders, man. You go back and watch the replay. Orton is trying so hard not to like move too much because his shoulder would accidentally get a centimeter off the canvas, and the ref would have to continue the match. So he's trying to like wiggle everything but his shoulders. It just looks so awkward. They probably shouldn't have even shown the replay because he was even worse checking it back in slow-mo. Now, that said, well, before I even move on, something about watching Randy Apex Predator, Viper, Legend Killer Orton pin like that by Melo? Nah. You know what I mean? We need the Apex Predator, Viper, Legend Killer Randy Orton. That ain't it. But moving on to Melo, though, that aside, Melo needed a big win, and that was a big win. He's lost too much too soon, Melo did. You know, his whole saying, his catchphrase, all of that is Melo don't miss, but, you know, all he's been doing is missing. So Melo needed a big W. This is certainly, even though I don't like how it was done, I don't mind him beating Randy Orton at all in Tama Tonga. It's not like it's one-on-one. You could do so much schmozzery, and there's ways to go about business. I don't mind the victory. I mind how it was done. But Melo needed a big W. This was certainly a big W. If they truly want to portray this dude as a legit star going forward, they're going to have to book him as such. So Melo needed that. I have no problem with him winning the match. It's the way that it was done. So that's a booking decision. So that's not on Melo. Good for that dude. Hopefully this propels him. Hopefully this gives more fans a reason to care about Melo going forward. Booking wise, that was just not it. You don't beat Randy Orton like that. So this is less to do with Melo. This is more on booking and how this makes Randy Orton look. You just don't hold down Randy Orton. 650, 250. Melo is just a smaller dude, man. At barely 5'10 and 210 soaking wet, that's what he's billed at. Dude looks about a good 204, 205 tops. But holding down Orton? You know, a lot of fans will be okay with it because they don't, you know, they're just like, whatever. But there's a lot of fans that are just like, that's not realistic at all. That's just, man, Randy Orton. Maybe it's because I just know how special Orton is or should be. You know, he never really became the guy in WWE, and some of that was just his own undoing, being his own worst enemy. And the other flip side is that just bad timing, you know, the Punks and the John Cenas, and, you know, there's just different rises that just topped him at times where Orton was kind of his own detriment. And it was just a perfect storm that Orton never became the guy. And just to see him sometimes book like this, it's just weird. So great for Melo. Awesome. For Randy Orton, you can't lose like that going forward. He's going to have to go to Paul Levesque McMahon and go, dude, can we come up with a better finish? That's all I'll do the job, right? I want to see Melo succeed. I'll help out in doing that. But can we do a little? I don't want to just be rolled up, bro. I'm Randy Orton. I'm Randy Orton. I'm not freaking Tozawa or Drew Gulak. Out there treating him like a ricochet. Next up, so Melo moves on, Money in the Bank qualifier. Good for him. We'll see what he can do in that matchup. LA Knight calls out Logan Paul next. I had to get a swig of coffee for this one, man, because there's kind of two sides to this segment. So LA Knight's calling out Paul. Instead, he gets Santos Escobar. Escobar hypes up their triple threat Money in the Bank qualifier for next Friday in Madison Square Garden. A huge show, NYC. So Knight is just not, like a lot of fans, we're just like, what are we doing here? No, Escobar, he's not there yet with fans truly like caring about when his music hits and he comes down through that curtain, down that ramp. Fans are just not going, oh, it's Santos. We know the dude's got incredible talent, but it's not there yet. So a lot of fans are like, what are we doing here? This is between Logan Paul and LA Knight. What is Escobar doing? Now, if you knew they had a triple threat, you kind of, you know, you understood what they're trying to do. They're trying to pump up next week's matchup. And Santos, once he starts speaking, it's clear that he's there to tell LA Knight that he's going to beat him next week. Who's in there with him next week? Does it say? Who was it? Escobar. Oh, Logan Paul. Logan Paul is actually in this match with LA Knight and Escobar next Friday in Madison Square Garden. A Money in the Bank qualifier. So Logan Paul technically could hold the U.S. title and a briefcase. So anyway, Escobar starts, yapping away, but Knight just says, this is a quote from LA Knight. He says, I'm not even looking at you. The whole time Escobar's talking, he's like, what are you, dude? I don't care about you. So he says, I'm not even looking at you. I'm looking past you. I'm talking about Logan Paul, bro. So this pisses off Escobar, and he tries to like take out his knee, but his efforts only led into a BFT. And that thing was, I mean, Escobar sold it beautifully. LA Knight performed it beautifully, as he usually does. Badass BFT. But when Knight turned around, Wabaka! Logan Paul knocks dude out. Of course, he's got like the ring too. Was it the brass knucks or that ring? Well, it wasn't just the fist, but either way, LA Knight was knocked into next Friday. When he wakes up, at least he doesn't have to go too far. He'll already be on SmackDown. It's a different week, LA. I thought this was well done, man. Paul is just good. Dude is an attraction. I gotta be honest with you, man. The Escobar LA Knight thing, I just wasn't too into it. And I was like, all right, Escobar was doing pretty good in his promo. I like the little mix-up toward the end. But when I saw Logan Paul, and I'm not even a big Logan Paul supporter, I just know the dude's got immense talent, and he just has this natural it factor with pro wrestling. Some people just fit in pro wrestling perfectly. Kurt Angle, for instance, and Logan Paul, it's just a natural fit, like he was born to do it. And so, like, when I saw Logan Paul in the ring, I got like, 30 to 40% more into it, like instantly. I was like, oh, Logan is there. Logan pops, and then he's just fired up. He's all amplified. And it's like, damn, man, like Logan Paul brings so much to this product, to these shows, to these segments. Like, you can dog him out for being part-time or his character or just not liking the dude personally. That's, that's to each their own. But the dude's got immense talent. The dude's really good, and he actually does bring a captivating interest to BC for sure. I mean, that enlightened that segment a good 30 to 40% bare minimum. Then Andrade defeated KO and Waller. This was a Money in the Bank qualifier. Andrade pins Waller. Like I said earlier, Melo needed a big win, and he did get it over Randy Orton via fruit roll-up. But Melo needed a big win eventually, and Andrade was in the same boat. I was feeling like, I mean, they're throwing speed championships on him. I mean, that's one of those things, you don't even want the speed championship. You don't want that. You don't even want to be in that conversation that you've been reduced to speed champion. Nobody knows what speed is. You have 3-minute matches? What? Nobody wants to be known as a 3-minute man. Andrade. It was getting to the point, like, what are they doing, man? But this was a big W. He's going to be in this Money in the Bank. This is something for Andrade, man. It was cool. That was definitely the right call. The only other option would have been Waller, and I was like, come on, man. He's in a tag team. When he does break up with Theory, there's his feud. So he's tag team now. His first feud is already set up with him in Theory if they want to go that route. No reason for him to go over Andrade. The main event. This was Cody Rhodes, Solo Sikoa. Cody versus Solo main event. Quick DQ loss for Sikoa. I told you guys at the jump from the start of this review that's pretty much what we expected. Because this is their projected SummerSlam main event. Solo Sikoa versus Cody Rhodes. I'll get to that in a minute. Let me just go over this main event. So a quick DQ loss for Sikoa. Tonga and Loa attack Cody. Orton and KO for the save, but the debut of Jacob Fatu. The long-awaited for a lot of us. A lot of fans, it's not long-awaited. They didn't even know the dude was coming up. We hear all the words going around, reports going around for Hikuleu, and the trademarks being filed by WWE, and Jacob Fatu was one of those names that for the longest time, we're hearing he's coming, but then he's not. So then you're just like, is it ever really going to happen? So then your focus kind of turns to Hikuleu and others. But there's Jacob Fatu debuting last night to the Bloodline. And that would see the faces just get annihilated. Jacob Fatu. In fact, Fatu, this show ends with Fatu on the top of the post, basically. I mean, he is high above. As, who was it? Cody Rhodes was laid out on the commentary table, and Fatu just dive bombs on top of Cody through the commentary table off that top rope. It was, I mean, and he's a big boy too, right? This isn't like a Ricochet who's just doing like an 850 somersault, inadverted OMG splash. This is Jacob Fatu bringing all of that weight down on that dude. Cody Rhodes just gets annihilated, bro. And the Bloodline posed with the ones to end the show to the hard cam. So, I mean, the Bloodline, they're adding a lot of people in that the casual, the lapsed fan, even a lot of hardcore fans, they just don't know a lot of these dudes, right? They don't know a lot about Gorillas of Destiny, or they don't know a lot about Jacob Fatu, so it's not hitting exactly as WWE would hope for. But they had to have known you're bringing in a lot of people with no name value, and you're just trying to make them seem like they're badass. But Jacob Fatu, look alone, that just changes the tone, right? You now know that the Bloodline just got significantly better. Before Jacob Fatu last night, Roman Reigns could easily just be sitting back with his beverage, watching and kind of scoffing at it, kind of with a grin, kind of laughing, oh, when I come back. But when you see Jacob Fatu, things kind of change a little bit, right? Roman might have to go back to the drawing board. But anyway, I want to go back to that Solo Sikoa Cody Rhodes matchup. The reason it was a quick DQ, because the word around the campfire is that is the match they want for SummerSlam. Not confirmed or official yet. But just like Priest versus Gunther for Raw and that main event for SummerSlam, SmackDown, the projected main event is Solo versus Cody. Now, even if you say, like, storyline-wise, I guess that makes sense, but you see, is it worthy enough to be a main event at SummerSlam? Guys, that's the problem with booking, Solo, the way they book Solo. That's the problem with having this dude lose 41 straight matches after John Cena got annihilated, did the ultimate deed for Solo. John Cena did the ultimate deed for Solo, didn't just get beat by him, got annihilated, and then Paul Levesque McMahon put him on a 41-match losing streak immediately. And now all of a sudden we're supposed to like forget about that real quick, forget about the last 7 months of that booking, and look at him like he's a leader of a faction and going for the main event and the championship with Cody Rhodes at SummerSlam. Guys, you can't possibly go from Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns at Mania to Cody Rhodes and Solo Sikoa, because Solo Sikoa, and this is just the truth, he's not a main event guy. Not now. He ain't booked that way, and he ain't even ready for it. Not even close. You know that. I would hope so. You can judge by the reactions. You can look at the booking. Levesque McMahon, the past 7 months, hasn't even put that kind of stock into Solo, but they're out of options. It's kind of the only way you can go, and nobody else could have been leading the faction. Although last night it looked like Jacob Fatu was leading that crew now. I mean, that dude took all the focus. But Cody Rhodes versus Solo Sikoa, unless they really amplify that storyline and make it a lot of fun to get us really interested. Guys, our SummerSlam double main event, Damian Priest versus Gunther, heel versus heel, by the way. You have 6 weeks to try to turn Damian face. Good luck with that, and is that even going to make us care anymore? But for now, heel versus heel, Gunther and Damian Priest. And then for SmackDown, Solo Sikoa versus Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes beat Roman Reigns. I would hope he could beat Solo. But BC, he's got a diabolical bloodline behind him now. I just hope the storyline gets a lot better then. Because Cody Rhodes versus Solo Sikoa. Bro, they promoted that on SmackDown last night. Nobody cared. Is that really what they're going to try to promote for SummerSlam? We'll see. Let them do their thing, right? Do their thing. Go to the drawing board. Go to your boardroom meetings, and let's come up with the best creative imaginable. And we'll see where it goes, man. We're hoping that we're praising the SummerSlam card. It's the second biggest event of the calendar year. If your double main event is Damian versus Gunther and Cody versus Solo, no, don't be shocked if a lot of fans just aren't having it. That ain't it. That was SmackDown. At least we got some newsworthy stuff. CM Punk. I tell you, bro, we'll see if this dude's even ready for SummerSlam after what the beating he allegedly took. We didn't get to see it, right? It's the optical illusion. The gate goes up and Punk is laid out. Speaking of, Chad Gable has been cleared, guys. At first, they were really going to try to sell the Wyatt injury, the Wyatt 6, currently 5. And, I mean, the dude was basically not just written off TV, like killed off TV. So they played it up. They said he was removed from his Money in the Bank qualifying match on Monday. And then last night, like late last night, Adam Pearce is like, I found out that Chad Gable is cleared. He will be in the match Monday. I'm like, what happened to selling being killed off by the Wyatts? Monday ended, dude looked like he was completely killed off. He's wrestling the next week. Probably should have planned that out a little bit better, WW. Levesque McMahon. But Eric Young calls him a genius. Gable's already wrestling, not even a concussion. This dude's cleared, bro. Guys, till next time. There will be that next time. Thanks for hanging with BC, having some fun, man. Talking some pro wrestling. Hopefully I entertained you guys, man. Rock out your weekends. We'll do this again real soon. Until next time, and there will be that next time. Top guys, BC, and the unit saying check you. Peace. Salute.